Today we're going to learn how to go from failing all of your classes to becoming a top-tier student in 2024. Now, to get things into perspective, in 2021 I entered university into business administration and I failed 9 out of my 10 classes and then ruined one of my biggest side hustles that I had at the moment. But then in 2022 I decided to make the most logical decision that anyone would make when they have failed 9 out of their 10 classes, and it is to go into a more difficult degree, which was computer engineering. And I became a top-tier student and I won 3 academic awards that same year. And in today's video, we're going to go over the top 5 principles that helped me become that top-tier student so that you can also make your best academic comeback this year in 2024. Okay, now the first principle that helped me make my academic comeback is faking it until you make it. The most important factor in habit creation is identity. This is something that James Clear talks about in his book Atomic Habits. And it is the concept that in order to change your behavior for good, you need to start believing in new things about yourself. So in order to become a top-tier student, you first need to internalize that into your brain. You first need to tell yourself that, yeah, I am that top-tier student, only that I am 6 months or 2 months behind schedule. And if you think about manifestation and law of attraction and all of that thing, it is something very similar. You're just aligning yourself, your vibration to that energy that you want to attract. And now, how do we do this, okay? How do we empirically become that person who is that top-tier student? You become that top-tier student by doing the small things, by doing the small habits that that person will do. Okay, now think about that in your head. What would a top student do? He will go to a library. He will go and revise information. He will go and do the extra thing in those assignments. He will pay attention in class. All those little things are things that top students do. So why don't you just do them and fake it until you make it? Because the biggest difference between you and a high achiever right now is just those habits that he implements. The results may come, but the biggest difference and the most tangible things that you can see and look at are those small habits that that person implements. Now, the second principle in order to become a top-tier student is forgetting about the ego. Because the ego is the enemy. A lot of times we don't do things because we are afraid, okay? We're afraid of getting things wrong. So maybe you have an assignment and you're not particularly good at that class. The professor asks something and you don't respond, even though you know the answer, you're just afraid of getting it wrong. So you just keep it to yourself and you don't talk. And if you're that kind of person as I was back in the day, I mean, nobody will remember you. Really, nobody will remember you. If you think that you're so fucking important that people will actually remember what you asked about in class number 17, I mean, you're delusional. Nobody is going to remember what you have asked because people are so busy thinking about themselves that they don't have the time to think about you. The ones that care don't matter and the ones that matter don't care. So just get that over with and start asking questions when you don't know in class, because maybe you're helping someone out that had the same question and you're just making your brain going through more processes in order to learn that same information. This way, it'll stick to your brain in a better way. Another way that ego acts against us in this situation is that you actually think that you are the best. This is something that happened to me in my first year of business administration, and is that I already had a little business that I had running and I thought that I was better than anybody else, okay? I thought that I was the absolute best. I thought that I was earning more than most of my peers because, okay, that was true. I was earning more, but I thought that I was on top of the world and nobody could teach me anything. And that had stopped me from learning new things just because I thought that I already knew it all. Like, why would I just put effort into learning new things if I knew it all already? And this is a concept that Socrates is known a lot for, okay? He's known for this quote that I only know that I know nothing. This means that only the people who realize that they're so ignorant, they don't know nothing, they're able to learn new things. Once you have said to yourself that, hey, I'm the best, I have nothing else to learn, you're not gonna learn anything because you already think that you know it all. You already think that you're the best. Your ego is not letting you learn new things. And you might have seen this, but you don't know the name of it. It is the Dunning-Kruger effect, okay? It's a graph where people who know a little bit about a subject, they think that they know it all. They think that they're the best. So they just stop learning because they think that they're on top of the world. But then once you start learning more about the fact, the curve starts going up and you start realizing, oh, maybe I'm not that intelligent. Maybe I'm not that smart. Maybe I'm not that knowledgeable in that path. And once you start learning more, going sideways into the graph, you start realizing, okay, I don't know shit. I'm just some kind of newbie in this and I have all of these new things to learn. I have so much more to learn. So I'm just gonna put my ego down and I'm just gonna start learning from people who are better than me in this type of activity or anything that I'm trying to learn. The third principle that helped me become a top-tier student is consistency. consistency is not as hard as you think. I'd be lying to you if I said that I was studying 2 hours a day, okay? I did not. I wasn't the type of student who studied every single day, okay? I was just simply not. Just because of the characteristics of my life, I was not the type of person who would do that. But one thing I did, I viewed my life in a weekly basis. I wouldn't go into any class being clueless about the thing that the professor was saying, because that would just be stupid. I would just be there wasting my time and wasting the professor's time. So I would never do that. Now, my university plans their classes like this. On a weekly basis, we have 2 classes of every single class. A theory lesson and then a practical lesson. Now, in order to do the practical lesson, you need to know about the theoretical lesson. Now, what I would do is I would focus my mind entirely in the theory lesson, and I would try to understand everything that the professor is saying, so that the day before our practical lesson, I would just look at my notes, I would just know a little bit about the thing that we were doing, and in the practical lesson, I would consolidate my knowledge about that same thing, and I would just improve my brain connections or whatever you want to call it, so that I would understand that concept completely. I was not the type of person who would spend hours and hours in a library studying. I would just try to understand and try to teach people, because another fact that helped me become a better student is that I would help people out, okay? In order to learn my things better, I will actually go and help people. People who will ask me questions and I will try to answer them as simple as I could. This is called the Feynman technique, developed by Richard Feynman. He was in the Project Manhattan. If you have watched Oppenheimer, you know what I'm talking about. This technique basically means that if you want to know if you have understood a concept completely, fully, you have to take that complex concept, and if you're able to explain it simply to a 5-year-old in order for him to understand it, you have accomplished it. You have understood that concept. So that's what I would do. I would learn this stuff in order to help people out, and then I will explain it to them. Now, the 4th principle in order to become a great student is selective companion. Honestly, you need to be more selective about the people who are around you. You are the combination of the 5 people you hang around with the most. So if you're hanging out with drunk and drug addicts, chances are you're gonna become a drunk and drug addict in some way or another, okay? Whether you drink more or less, you're gonna become one of them. And I'm not telling you to ditch your friends just because they're not good in school, okay? That's not what I'm saying, because in life there are things called categories, okay? You actually have friends for school, you have friends to go exercising, you have friends to go drinking, you have friends to go partying or whatever your life categories are. So choose wisely what type of people you want to have around yourself when you are in that focus mode, when you are studying. This is something that I have done and has worked wonders for me. I would go and just become friends with people who I see that are very interested in a matter that we're talking about in class, and we will go and study together, and we will share things that we have learned from our individual experience, and we will just multiply our ability to learn like 2x. We will learn the same thing that we were trying to learn in like half of the time. That's something you should try. It works wonders, trust me. Now, the 5th and final principle that has helped me become a top-tier student is that gear does matter. If you have a little bit of money right now, just invest in good gear that will save you time and improve your work. It is one of the best investments that you can make. I can sit here and tell you that gear doesn't matter. You can do it all without gear, but I'll be lying, okay? That's being a fucking moron, because by having the right gear, you're actually improving your work 10 times. You're saving time. You're improving the quality of your work. I bought this MacBook before entering into university. It is the best choices that I have made, because it works at anything that I throw at it. It does whatever I want to do, and it just complements my life in a way that improves it 10x. The same with this iPad. This is not even the newest one. This is the 2017 iPad Pro with an Apple Pencil. This is like dirt cheap right now, but you get what I'm saying. And also, I have a monitor right here. That monitor has saved me so much fucking time. I can open 2 screens at the same time. I just have 2 screens at the same time. I can go into internet, I can write my papers on one side, and that's it. It saves me a lot of time, and it makes my work much more productive. Another thing that I have bought that improved my life like 10x, I'm not lying to you, 10x, my AirPods Pros. Do you know the amount of concentration that I have with those things? Okay, I can go and plug my AirPods in. When I go into a library, I don't want to hear you talk. I don't want to hear people just walking. I just put my AirPods in, put the noise cancellation, put some classical music, and I start studying. I can get into a workflow, a flow state in like 5 minutes. And all of that just comes from things that I have bought to improve my lifestyle and to improve my quality of work. So instead of buying yourself a new pair of Nikes or whatever, I don't know what you like, okay? Instead of going for some beers or anything, just consider, what is the return of investment of this item that I'm going to buy? In my case, the return of investment of the AirPods, the monitor, or the computer is like 10x. I would gladly pay $200 for those AirPods instead of, I don't know, some pair of sneakers. Just because they improve my life in a way that every single day I look forward to studying or to working, just because it makes it so much better. It saves you time. It makes working something pleasurable. And those were the top 5 principles that you can implement into your life to become a great and top-tier student in 2024. And as always, be patient because your prophecy is unfolding, my friend.